As we've discussed before, Bitcoin is designed to be attacked. When the EU says we need to attack the price of Bitcoin, that is music to Bitcoiners' ears because all attacks mean greater hash rate, greater security, and higher prices. It's designed to be attacked. The more you attack it, the higher the price goes. So we welcome the EU's attacks and the IMF and Christine Lagarde and central banks and Federal Reserve Bank. Please attack me so that my price can go to $100,000, $200,000, $1 million a coin. Thank you.
And there you have from Max Kaiser. He's saying that Bitcoin strengthens with attacks. The hash rate continues to go up, and every single individual in the universe will see the price shoot up these astronomical 6-figure, 7-figure values. What will be Bitcoin's top? Nobody knows because there's no stopping the money printer. So if the money printer can go to infinity, then Bitcoin can go to infinity. Remember this. And with that, what's happening in Crypto Crew? Sean's coming back at you, another cryptocurrency video. Getting straight into it and not wasting any time. Taking a look at our first update. What are we seeing? We're seeing BlackRock is releasing new spot Bitcoin ETF advertisements. Check this out quickly.
Digital asset adoption has significantly accelerated over the past decade, with profound implications for the future of finance. Bitcoin is the original cryptocurrency to gain global adoption and has continued to maintain its dominance despite thousands of others coming into existence. You might have noticed.
So this is a 2-minute video. We're not going to waste the ETF advertisement, but what we're showing you this for the reason is because the sentiment has changed overnight. These ETFs have been passed and Bitcoin is here to stay, and now BlackRock is coming up with these advertisements to offer their clients Bitcoin exposure. This is very bullish because now they need Bitcoin on their balance sheet. The big wave of money coming into Bitcoin is going to slowly keep trickling in continuously forever. It's never going to stop, but it's going to drive the Bitcoin price up. Bitcoin is the definition of scarcity. So as you get more demand for a scarce asset, price is definitely just going to go to the upside. And right now is still a time to buy. It's still a cheap time to accumulate Bitcoin. As you see right now, we're right before the halving. Every halving cycle, what happens? Blast off. Every halving, blast off, blast off. It's self-explanatory. If history is any indication of what's to happen of the future, when we have this halving in April of this year, what's going to come afterwards? We're going to see a blast off to the upside. No one can tell you what the target is going to be. We're going to probably hit 6 figures, but will we stop at 100, 200, 300? Will we go higher? We have indicators and tools that will show us when the top's in, but everybody can speculate until then. Right now is an accumulation opportunity. And then what are we showing you with altcoins? We're seeing Adam and Eve patterns. This is a bullish pattern. You see this neckline right here. It's sort of Adam and Eve, but also like a cup and handle pattern. Looks like a fish that's cut off in half. But either way you cut the cloth, the continuation for the bullish trend to the upside, this looks very bullish. Looking at total 3, what do we see? This is on the daily chart. We see that the 20 moving average and the 200 moving average is a lot of space in between, and there is levels we want to pay attention to. That $466 billion range is what we want to pay attention to. We're putting in sort of a M pattern where we could break down and sort of have a retest of this 200 as this comes up to the upside, maybe reset the RSI a little bit. That's a possibility, or we could just hold these levels and continue to stair step. Maybe trade sideways for a little bit while the 200 catches up, and then we'll see a massive move to the upside. All in all, looks bullish. This is the daily. Looking at the weekly. The weekly is the same sentiment. We see the RSI still is, in somewhat overbought territory, but we're seeing this 20 coming up to cross that 200, which is a bullish indication to the upside. So over the next year, what can we anticipate? We anticipate to get into this red box where these technical targets are going to be at. Probably close to that $3 trillion overall crypto market capitalization for the altcoin. So pay attention to what's happening. Benjamin Cohen is giving you something to look into for the charts. ETH Bitcoin could very well be the same type of reaction we saw last cycle before rate cuts began. So what is he showing? He's showing that ETH melted and then had its initial bounce up and then had one more lower low. So this was a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 retracement level before we started to see, that rounding bottom and a move to the upside. Now look at ETH melted. We had that first hiccup below. So is this where we are right now, and could we be seeing lower price action? Because this could be a B, C potential. This could be a potential 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Depending on how low we go, what you have to pay attention to is this white line. When this white line fell, this is what distinguished the rate cut. So this is what that rounding bottom was. We started to get an influx of money into the system, why the ETH Bitcoin comparative took off and Ethereum outperformed Bitcoin. When this white line cuts, when we get a federal rate cut, that's what we have to pay attention to. Taking a look at the Bitcoin USD chart at the current time it's recording, coming in at 43,231. We've showed you this level here around the 44 level. We came down and tested it once, twice. Third time, actually wicked below it, but right now we're currently trading above it. But if you look at the RSI, what do we see? Put in a high here, put in a low, put in a lower high, and a lower low, a lower high, and a lower low. So it looks like we're just sort of stair-stepping our way down. So are we going to come down and just have this reset before we have a continuation to the upside? Look at here, we showed this distance between the 200 and the 20. That could come back down. We could come back and reset maybe around the mid 30 range, 35 range, trade sideways for a bit while stair-stepping our way out of that. That could be what's in the cards until we get a total reset on the market. Without further ado, let's hear the latest from Jack Mallers and what he has to say.
Of course, in the US, Bitcoin has been seen basically as, well, an asset to be able to bet on. Ultimately, whether or not it's a store of value, it's certainly been one that people have been wanting to gain exposure to see it as volatile, to see the gains. But elsewhere in the world, they do use it as a way of also ultimately being able to transact, to use it as some sort of currency. Now, when does that potentially start to seep into the US? Because at the moment, we've seen the validity of it as an asset, as a store of value, but not as a currency here in the United States.
I'm not, to be honest, guys, I'm not sure it totally matters. So for example, I don't own any dollars anymore. I'm sick of them. You know, I think the real risk is owning dollars because all they do is go down. And traditionally, the game was, well, shoot, what do I own? The government's going to keep printing currency. They're in so much debt. Do I try and own a house? Do I try and own an index of stocks? Do I try and find out what Jeff Bezos is up to now that he's not the CEO of Amazon? And Bitcoin is the most accessible, most simple, best expression of this problem that, you know, Ed, how many people in the world have to deal with fiat debasement? Give me a number. What do you think?
You answer that, Jack.
8 billion. All of us. Everybody is subject to a fiat currency that's devaluing, and everyone has access to this thing. And so if you want to use it for payments, if you want to store it, so for example, I live on credit cards. The US banking system gives me a 30-day revolving door of credit where I could spend dollars without needing to own those pieces of trash. And so I just sit in Bitcoin all day. I spend on credit. And so to me, I don't know. Anyway, does that answer your question? I think Jack, it doesn't totally matter.
And there you have the latest from Jack Mallers. He has a good point. He's telling everybody that you need to worry about debasement of your local currency. The dollar is the global denominated currency that everything's pegged against the dollar. So if the dollar continues to go down, other currencies are going to go down further against the dollar, but it's based off the money printing. So all 8 billion people globally need to worry about fiat debasement. This is not a subsector of the economy, a certain demographic of people need to worry about this. Everybody needs to worry about dollar debasement, and Bitcoin is that one hedge that can, you can work in Bitcoin, you can earn in Bitcoin, you can save in Bitcoin. It does not make sense to save in dollars. Jack Mallers doesn't do it. The Bitcoin bros don't do it. Why should you? Remember this here. The Bitcoin halving is 93 days away. So what historically happens after the halving? We just showed you this earlier in the video. April 17th is the tentative date. With that being said, you have time to accumulate before the halving. You know what happens 6 to 12 months after the halving. So right now is the time to keep preparing if you haven't been preparing already, because it's right around the corner. And with that, I'm Sean with the Bitcoin Bros. You guys like this content, go ahead and smash the like button. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, go ahead and show us some love. We appreciate the support. That's all I have for you today, and I'm out.